Good morning, Tim Sykes here. Hope you're having a good weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Wanted to go over my kind of failed weekend trade on GRPN and another failed weekend trade contender on LIDR. I know most people, will tune out after that. I say that, right? Like, oh, why do you want to talk about a failed trade? You learn more from failed trades than you do from successful trades. Every trade is useful in your education. If you make money, fantastic, you get richer, but you don't necessarily learn that much. When you lose, you don't get richer, but you learn more. So I always say you have two accounts, your knowledge account and your brokerage account. Every single trade you do adds to one of them. In an ideal world, you profit and you learn. But, not every trade is going to go perfectly. If you look at how I've made my millions and even, six figures already in 2024, I have some losses. On Friday, I actually had 3 losses. Not a great day for me, but I kept my losses in check. So, this is why I'm very proud to be real. I'm very proud to teach. And it's okay to have small losses. And I know how discouraging losses can be, especially to newbies. You think the world is over, like, oh my God, the trade didn't go according to plan. Oh my God, I doubt, now what Tim teaches. I'll tell you straight up, I'm not going to be right every time, okay? You shouldn't doubt what I teach because of a loss or if I'm wrong, because it's part of the strategy. I'm not one of those fakes in this industry that pretends to win every time. You'll see me win, you'll see me lose, but what I am proud of with all of these losses is that they're contained. And if you are going to be my next millionaire student, if you are going to be a successful trader, you have to learn to lose small. And for me, three losses in a row, it sucks. I'm not happy about it, but at the same time, I accept it. There's a saying, sell in May and go away. The next few months of the year, seasonality speaking, are weaker. We also just had the best 6-month period in decades. So you have to have a little perspective. I'm really happy with just, holding on to my yearly gains and not letting a small loss affect me too much. This is GRPN. It was uptrending all day on good earnings. And I didn't really want to chase it here because it was kind of a gradual run up. With these gradual run-ups, you could have made money, but it's very choppy and you don't know when the gradual run-up is going to end. If you zoom out to a multi-month chart, GRPN hasn't been doing well. So it's pretty tough to say, oh my God, is this the actual turnaround? We don't know. Earnings winners have been doing well lately. And GRPN, has a history of uptrending, but at the same time, it's just the first green day. Sometimes it gets ahead of itself, and that's what looks like it happened on Friday. And you can see here, perfect uptrend until this crack here just after 2 p.m. You had 1 crack, 2 cracks, 3 cracks, 4 cracks. And I thought that, it was going to hold this kind of support. Usually, if you're looking for a dip buy, you don't just dip buy randomly, be like, oh, the uptrend is going to resume. You don't know if that's going to happen. But on the way down, you look for support. And in the morning, it spiked up here to 1310, spiked up here to 1320, spiked up here to 1320. This breakout here was 1330. So, before this uptrend basically from 1330 up to 14, which is a nice, 70 cent a share uptrend after the news is already out. And you can see the volume spike right here on the breakout. You can see this big volume spike. Usually volume spikes matter. You think that, 1320-ish is going to be some support, if not 1330-ish. So that's what I was going for, on my dip buy. I actually dip bought it a few times, but this was the weekend trade, and I was buying it around 1320-ish because I thought, okay, that was the morning spike high. I think that should act as support. Nearly $1 a share off the intraday highs. I think you can get back to those intraday highs either Friday or Monday. And it just couldn't. It could not hold the 1320s. So I got out for a small loss, and it actually went all the way down to 1275, which was, not a huge shocker, but a little surprising that it couldn't hold this morning spike highs. Usually it's just going to hold it. And it did hold it for a little bit. It's not like it just blew through support. It did hold it for a little bit, but when it cracks support, you just got to get out. And I know some people say, come on, Tim, give it till over the weekend. No, you don't have to risk big losses, okay? If there's one thing that I've learned over 25 years now of trading, too many people want to be, right all the time. So they break their rules, they risk bigger losses, and, maybe this thing does come back next week, and, people will say, Tim, look at it, it's in the 14s, and maybe it goes to the 15s again. But for me, I control my losses. And as a teacher, I'm very proud to teach to control your losses. Too many people just let, not so great trades or not so great setups dictate their lives, and they let it, really impact their overall results. GRPN was never like an A+ setup for me. I just thought that it was an earnings winner that was going to hold support. I was wrong. It's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to be wrong and get stubborn and just keep adding all the way down just so that you can be proven right for your ego. So I took the loss, and I would take it again, and, that's what that trade is. LIDR, I didn't pick it for my weekend newsletter, but I bought it for an intraday gain. And this is where it gets tough sometimes, because LIDR, very similar to my AEye trade a few months ago, where it's this play that can really just keep going, but it spikes up too soon. And this is a problem sometimes with Friday low float runners. The big spike was right here, 230 to 3. And after that big initial, short squeeze and halt, it didn't do anything. It downtrended, and here we are back at the 230 level. And this spike too early really creates a lot of problems, because if I did buy this uptrend, which I was thinking about, instead of GRPN, I was thinking about buying it in here in the 220s. It really reminded me of AUVI. If you go back into the old video lessons, you can look up AUVI. Almost exact same chart, almost exact same spike and halt, and same kind of result. And because I knew about AUVI, and because this one reminded me of it, I really thought that it would not be a good weekend trade, because AUVI did the exact same thing, and the following Monday it had dropped even more. The really best time for AUVI was very similar to this, where you just go for that initial short squeeze and halt, and then you sell into this, and then it never gets back to that level. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, let me pull up AUVI. But there is a video lesson in the library if you want more details. Was it more than 3 months ago? Wow, it was. Time flies. It was right here. And they had good news. This was on a Friday, and it spiked up almost exact same like pricing or price action. And it never did anything after that. So that's what I think LIDR might do. There was an opportunity for a day trade, but again, this is my weekend newsletter, so I'm specifically trying to find plays to hold over the weekend. In hindsight, should I have taken this trade instead of GRPN? Yes, it would have been profitable. But instead of a loss same day, it would have been a gain same day. And I know some people are disappointed with that because they want to hold over the weekend. That's what this newsletter is all about. But the market is not an exact science, okay? So LIDR was a great day trade. Congrats if you did take it. If you're holding it over the weekend, like let's say you bought it here at 220 or 230, and then it goes up to the 320s and you're up $1 a share, but you want to give it more time and now it's back down to 230, like that stinks. But I would be willing to take profits any time. Even if you plan on holding over the weekend, I think it's good to be open-minded and say, you know what, if the play doesn't, if the play does more than you think, be willing to take profits. Like I said, with GRPN, if the play doesn't do what you think, be willing to take losses. You really should be open-minded and be as flexible as possible to adapt to what the market gives you. If you go in with strict rules saying, I have to buy on Friday, I have to sell on Monday, again, the strategy really works pretty well, but at the same time, you're going to hurt your overall results by being, you know, very strict or very narrow-minded. So I'm strict about cutting losses, but I'm also strict about taking gains. So had I bought LIDR in here like I was thinking about, I would have taken profits. There's no way I would have held this over the weekend, given what we know about AUVI. And this is why I want you studying the past video lessons. People don't think like a trade from several months ago matters. It does, especially when the price action is nearly exact and the chart is nearly exact. You know, LIDR could bounce more, so I'll still watch it. Like it pretty much held 230, so it would be cool if it bounces. But after hours action is not encouraging, and it actually tanked like right into the close of trading when it looked like it couldn't bounce. You know, when you have this kind of a squeeze, this spike and halt, that really, you know, oftentimes gets rid of all the short sellers. And if you know what trends have been in play lately, I mean, it's mainly short squeezes. So if all the short sellers get squeezed in a few minutes, there's no more shorts left, or very few shorts left who are, you know, weak shorts. Like obviously there's still going to be some shorts, but many shorts don't just cut losses quickly. They're trying to build bigger positions for whatever reason. They don't believe in these companies. But the shorts that are willing to cut losses, they're mostly cleaned out with price action like this. And after they're gone, you just don't have the same, you know, uptrend. You can see here all the way, there was a nice uptrend, and you can see this squeeze here. You know, you can see the volume spike. I really want you guys to pay attention. When a stock spikes with volume, it's usually meaningful, whether it's buyers or short sellers. But I really focus on plays with volume and breakouts. And, you know, even before this big squeeze into the close on Friday, you know, it had this morning spike over the pre-market highs here at 2-ish, and it got up to 250, but then it came down very quickly too. So usually when you get like a morning breakout that can't be held, or, you know, even in the afternoon, it's holding the breakout a little bit, but this is not a good sign when the breakout can't really be held convincingly. And then the real big spike here happens because of a short squeeze, because of a trading halt, and then that one can't be held convincingly. That's just not price action that you want to give more time to. You want the stocks to prove themselves. GRPN did not prove itself. LIDR did not prove itself. So LIDR, by the way, this was not a weekend trade, but I have, you know, day trading newsletters too, and I tried to see if it could, you know, squeeze more. And it really couldn't. So I actually took a loss on my day trade into the close here too. So I'm always looking at plays for either potential day trades or, you know, potential overnight holds. And so I had 2 losses on GRPN. This was going to be a day trade either way. Took a loss. This was my you know, weekend attempted trade. Took a bigger loss because I had a bigger position. And then this was another day trade with a small loss. So 3 losses in a row. If you just look at like your last 3 trades, I suck, right? But again, small losses, contained losses, still up 6 figures year to date. I've already made, you know, 50% more than I made in all of 2023. So you have to recognize what can you do intraday? How do you position yourself overnight? And how do you have perspective of your overall account and overall gains for the month, for the year, for several years? This is how I think. And this is why I like doing these video lessons, because most people are just like, I have a loss, bad trade. Not so. You know, I would do all of these trades again. LIDR, you know, again, I fumbled this one because, mainly because of AUVI. And AUVI, I mean, I made, you know, $4,000. Like that's probably my biggest gain. I'm just curious. Is it my biggest gain? It is my biggest gain of the year. So nearly 5,000. And this play really, if you go back to this on January 12th, you'll find a video lesson from around there, you know, in the days after that. But this one really screwed me up because it was a fantastic win. It's my biggest dollar win, 45%. I was doing it from the airport too, which was kind of crazy. But because I knew how AUVI traded, I didn't want to take LIDR over the weekend. And I kind of zigged when I should zag, right? Like LIDR, I was late on with my attempted day trade, and I should have bought the breakout for a day trade. Instead, I went with GRPN for the day trade, and then I tried GRPN for the weekend, which didn't work. But, 3 losses could have been worse. I could have taken LIDR for a weekend trade too, and then it would be 4 losses in a row. So even though 3 losses in a row, it's not the end of the world. They're contained. And this is just how I think. On every single trade, I'm trying to maximize my trading. I'm trying to position myself for the next trading day. I'm trying to learn from past patterns. And I'm trying to respect key levels like on GRPN. So we'll watch and see what GRPN does on Monday. We got to see if it can reclaim that key 1320 level. After hours, not so much. It couldn't even really get to 13, and it's kind of chopping between like 1280 and 13. Not very encouraging. And it even tried to bounce into the close, and then in the last few seconds, big selling into the close, took it down to the 1280 level. Really weak bounce, okay? So not all earnings winners have to keep going. And the same thing with LIDR. I'll watch and see if it can hold this 240, 250 level, but not encouraging price action into the close. Even though after hours, the volume is much less. But none of these plays are over for good. AUVI is over because, the play was literally months ago. But this is what you have to be worried about, In this market, we're seeing a lot of quick short squeeze spikes, whether it's a morning spike, an afternoon spike, sometimes a pre-market spike, but they usually fade away. So some people say, like, Tim, you always warn about short selling. Why do you warn about it? Because you don't know how far these plays can go, but at the same time, shorts aren't wrong fundamentally speaking. Most of these plays do fade into oblivion over time. I just think it's risky, especially as a newbie, to short sell too aggressively right now. So AUVI is dead to me right now, given the price action. I saw a bunch of people saying, like, should I take SRTS over the weekend? I'm not going to be aggressive on SRTS until it breaks 550. Okay, like I like that it's a choppy stock. I mean, I like that it's a spiker, but I don't like the fact that, in the morning, like pre-market, it spiked up to 550. Here it spiked up to 550. Here, like you might say, wow, Tim, it did break out. Yeah, it broke out and then came right back down. Okay, it went all the way to 6, and then it came back down to 5. And then it goes down to 4.5, and it again uses 550 as resistance. So I'm not going to be too excited about SRTS until it proves itself. I think that'll be the name of this video lesson. I know we're talking a lot more than just what you thought with like the weekend video in the weekend play. But at the same time, you have to think intraday too. Okay, as much as I want SRTS to continue, as much as I want GRPN to continue, as much as I want LIDR to continue, you must respect intraday support and resistance. SRTS, I'll be watching it for a play. You can see the news here. They have some positive news. They reported earnings. Good earnings win. Great. But it needs to break 550 to get me excited, because I don't want to buy into a stock like this. Even if it can spike $1 a share, it spikes $1 a share in a few minutes, then it comes down $1 a share in a few minutes. That's really tough. I theoretically could profit from it, but in an ideal world, you don't find a play that spikes up $1 and drops $1 all within a few minutes. It's really tough to time this kind of play perfectly, because if you're late, you just get crushed. Needs to break 550 on SRTS. GRPN needs to reclaim 1320, 1330. And LIDR needs to reclaim this high around 250 and see if it can break out. So we do have some potential plays, but none of them I think were good for the weekend. So it's good to know, what to hold over the weekend, or what you think might have good odds over the weekend. I should also bring up NVAX while I'm talking about so many plays, because NVAX spiked up big pre-market. I mean, this is fantastic pre-market spike from 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. So 30 minutes, and it goes from 6.5 to 14. And then what does it do all day? Nothing. So that's the market we're in. you got to adapt, right? Like I know I prefer multi-day spikers and plays that hold their breakouts, but it doesn't matter what you or I want. The market will do whatever it wants. So NVAX, congrats to pre-market spikers. LIDR, congrats if you nailed this late day breakout and you took profits. GRPN, I mean, there's just not much meat on the bone either way, long or short. So SRTS, I'm still watching also. So I'll alert you based on what I see happening Monday. But right now, no plays, small losses are fine, and I'm trying to stay safe while adapting to the market. Hope this helps. Leave a comment below if you have any questions. Thanks.